I'm Roz Clark, the Dream Doula, and this is the Pathway to Peace room. And we are going to be talking all things peace and healing and growth and really moving into the direction of our dreams. Because, like I said, as a Dream Doula, my work is really centered around how do we create, oh, sorry, the best and highest version of who we are meant to be. How do we create our ideal life, living that thing that we know that we're meant for? And a lot of times as we come into situations, especially when we're seeking peace, it's either as a result of, some kind of challenge, betrayal, grief. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that we might feel that we need to find peace or create peace. And that's what I would say is I believe that every good thing emanates from us so that we're not victim or held hostage by external situations, that we learn and allow ourselves to take our power back, to be able to move in a direction, like I said, of our dreams, of our healing, of our biggest and best ideal life. So just let me know through putting in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if anybody here has a dream that they're longing for or working on right now. Put a 1 in the chat if you have a dream, a goal that you're working towards right now. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we got a 1 there. Welcome. Cool. 1. Yeah. Yeah. Yay. Cool. You are in the right place, and I am in the right place too, because you are my tribe. I love that. So, yeah, as we look at how we find or how we create the peace and the clarity and the determination to begin to move into the direction of our dreams, I'm always about owning as much as I can, like, working on being whole again. I get that, Kelly. Well, I hope that something that I share this evening will help you or resonate with you. So I'm really, really glad that you're here. Thank you. So, yeah, as we do this work of going into that healing place, that growth place, that place where a lot of times it's a place of rediscovering who we are. And so I want to just say this now, I want to honor you for showing up this evening. I want to honor you that you have made the choice to do the work, to come into these spaces, that you come with a curiosity, that you come with an intention, that you come to show up for yourself. So, like, I really want to take this moment just to honor and acknowledge that you are doing that. So if you have not given yourself any credit or accolades today, just put a big old yay in the chat for you. Put a yay for yourself in the chat, because you're showing up, you're here, you're in the space, and I am grateful. And yay for you. That's right. I am grateful and honored to be of service. So I'm excited about that. That's right. Yeah, you gotta cheer for yourself, because if we wait for somebody else to do it for us, sometimes we'll just be waiting. Or, a lot of times people don't even know or see or understand, just how much we have already done, the level of commitment that we have to keep on going, to put one foot in front of the other, you know, because and I find a lot of times that how they always say, check on your strong friends, because it's the ones that make it look so easy, that we make it look so easy sometimes, that people are like, oh, she's good. Oh, he's good. They don't need anything, and we're like, no, I need a hug, and we don't get to do that or have that experience as we would want to, or get our needs met. And so those are some of the things that I want to speak to this evening as we talk about, this pathway to peace, this healing journey. Welcome as you guys are coming in. Just drop in the chat for me where you're joining me from, where we're all coming from. I love how we can be, around the country, around the world, whatever that is, and yet we can find this place of commonality that we can still come together and celebrate one another. So one of the things that I also want to share with you, if you haven't been in my room, my background is, as I was younger, I grew up in the African American church, and there's a big kind of call and response thing in the church. And so if somebody was saying something that resonated with us, we would say, well, or even if somebody, like it was like, oh, wait a minute, that hit a little too close to home when you put a well out there. So if there's anything that resonates with you, feel free to put a well in the chat, and that'll kind of be our signal in the room that it's like, oh, okay, you're coming down my street, or you're coming down my aisle, so all of that. So I really want this to be, I really want you guys to share in, to interact in the chat. I'll share for a while, and then definitely open up the mic for some questions or feedback as we go further on. So today, I really want to talk about us making the choice to determine what our best and highest life looks like, and then giving ourselves permission to go after it. Because a lot of times, when we have setbacks, when we have challenges, when we have disappointments, it's because our life does not match the image of what we thought it would be. It's like sometimes it's like, oh, I thought I would be further along than now, or I never thought that they would do something like that to me, or I knew they wouldn't, but I had hoped or thought they would live forever. So whatever that experience is that is challenging us in this moment, that there's this search for peace. I think that the beauty of it is that we have this opportunity to be our own healer, to be our own rescuer, so that we're not waiting, like I said earlier, we're not waiting for someone or some external circumstance to happen, that we begin to say, okay, you know what? I get to make a choice. I get to, set my boundaries. Yes, I got a well on that one. Yeah, I get to set my boundaries. I get to say what the best and highest version of my life looks like. And I think so many times, especially when we're going through challenges, we forget that, because it feels like everything is happening to us. And I say all the time, that life is not happening to us, it's happening for us. And even the most horrific things, like you can say, well, Roz, how's that even possible? How is that possible that this horrific thing that I'm experiencing is for me? How do I reconcile what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, with the trust and the belief that somehow this is going to work towards my good? And so what I would say in that first is, I just want to acknowledge, we get to acknowledge every feeling that we feel, because so many times, especially, in spaces like this, and like people who are in the healing practice, we talk about, vibrating at a higher level, meditating and finding our peace, centering, whatever that is, forgiveness. I did a whole, room on forgiveness a couple of weeks ago, and I'll actually drop a link in the chat so that you guys can check out the replay of this room or any other ones that I have. But anyway, we're saying, like, how is that even possible? And yet what I can say is, and I think we all can, when we think about, if we took a moment right now to think about the worst thing that has ever happened to us, and we can still say, I'm still here. Yeah, that was awful. And yet I'm still here. Yeah, like I never thought that would happen. And I'm still here. And so we get to continue to trust that we are still on the path. We are still showing up for ourselves. We are showing up for our dreams. We are showing up for, again, the best and highest version of who we're longing to be. And so, in this process, in those experiences, we can still look back. I love how, like I said, I grew up in the church, and the old folks used to say, my soul looks back and wonders how I got over. And, when you're younger, you're like, well, how you got over what? you know, but you live enough life now. And it's like, oh, I've got some things that I had to get over, or maybe go through or go around or even overcome. And so as we live life, as we walk through this journey called life, we have these moments and these opportunities to celebrate. Like I said, even in the trials, we get to celebrate ourselves. We get to celebrate the fact that we keep like that ever ready bunny. We keep coming back. We keep going. We keep making the best out of a challenging situation. And so finding that space of gratitude, even when it feels like it's 50 shades of crazy, is how we continue to move forward, how we learn to trust not only ourselves and yet find a way to trust again. And that can be really challenging sometimes if we've been through, like I said, betrayals or disappointments or becoming disillusioned, that we're like, well, I'm just, I'm never going to love again. I'm never going to trust again. I'm never going to whatever that is. And what I want to do is move into that space and that exploration of how do we begin to take ownership of what the future looks like. And so the place that I would love to start with is just being in gratitude. And again, so many times these things feel like, okay, wow, like what do I have to be grateful for? And that's when we have to try to be, we have to move towards being intentional about finding gratitude. We have to move to be intentional about seeking out what we can celebrate and how we celebrate ourselves. So, those are, it becomes a choice. And yet, here's the beauty of it. Let's just kind of be with that place that we have a choice. Because I think so many times the setback, the disappointment, the disillusion, even the fear is like, oh my God, all this is happening and I can't do anything about it and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I get to choose. Like I get to choose who I am in this situation. I may not get to choose what the situation is. I may not get to choose how the other person behaves. And yet I get to choose what story I tell myself. And I'm not talking about the delusional story. What do I take from this situation? And who do I decide to become in the situation and to become as a result of the situation? And so again, that's how we begin to take our power back. So we started out earlier saying, like who has a dream, who has something that they're looking to create or experience or become. And so as we're looking at that and we're saying, okay, I've got this dream, I've got this idea, I've got this vision of who I want to be, what I want my life to look like, how I want to become someone different or a different version or a better version of who I am right now or be in a better situation. And so like what what is that choice? Like, how do I do it? Where do I start? Like, what is the next right step? And so that is the starting point. So it's like, I don't have to figure out the whole game plan. I just have to figure out what is the next right step. So put a 2 in the chat if you are in the process of healing right now. Put a 2 in the chat if you're in the process of healing right now. Yes, healing, healing. 2, healing. Yes, yes. Cool, cool. And then, in this, because sometimes they happen simultaneously, put a 3 in the chat if you're in the process of growing right now. Put a 3 in the chat if you're in the process of growing. Cool. Yes, yay! I love that. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give a well. Yes. So that's so awesome. That is so awesome that if you're healing and you're growing, um, again, you're making a choice. You're making a choice to be here. You're making a choice to heal. You're making a choice to grow. And so, again, I just want to make sure that you are acknowledging that about yourself, that you are celebrating that about yourself, because I can't tell you how exciting that is. Because a lot of times, a lot of my clients, as a dream doula and transformation coach, I deal with women who are in transition, and a lot of them are just like, I don't know what to do. And so they're feeling like paralyzed almost. And there's no judgment on that. And yet, in this moment, for those of you who are like growing and evolving and showing up and seeking. So, just one more time, put a yay in the chat for you. Yay. Come on now. Chardonnay or Cabernet? Yes, celebrating you, celebrating you. Well, yes, that's right. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Oh gosh, and that's what I love about the work that I do. Like, I love seeing people heal. I love being a part of that process. Champagne, yes, indeed, love it. Um, that that being that vessel, if you will, or that guide. And again, like I said, my work as a dream doula is really about helping people to give birth to their dreams. And part of the birthing process is, and I think that this happens a lot of time, people are like, oh my God, why is this happening to me, and why does this feel like this, and da 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 da. And yet when you think about it, like, right before you're getting ready to give birth, what you experience is discomfort. You experience a tightness, you experience contractions, you experience discomfort. And so we too often get freaked out by that. And yet, in some ways, that's when we really need to get excited, because it's like, oh, wait a minute, something's fitting to happen. Something's getting ready to change. Like, this discomfort, I know is a signal of me going to that next place, that next step, or at the very least, it is my signal that I need to seek out support. I need to seek out a coach. I need to seek out a mentor. I need to seek out a therapist, whatever tool you need in your toolbox to grow in this season. Definitely be about getting it, be about moving in that direction and giving yourself permission to get the help that you need, to get the support that you need, to voice what your needs are. Because I think that that's one of the things that we don't do enough, is we don't ask for what we want. We don't ask for what we need. And sometimes it's because we don't even know what it is. And so again, that's when a coach or a therapist or a mentor can really help you. And there were some questions that we shared recently, but one of them is like, what do you want? And, I was talking to a client recently who was just super frustrated and sad and rightfully so. And all of this stuff was happening. And so I said to her, I said, what do you want? Like, just take a moment, because she was so focused on what was happening, what had been done, all of those different things, that she was again focusing on those external situations, that she felt like she felt helpless, you know. And so what I wanted to do is help her redirect and say, what do you want? What do you want? And I think that wants are stronger, is a stronger word. I mean, wants and needs, it just depends. But what it's like, I want this to stop. Like, when we really get to say that way, with that clear conviction, like, I want this to change. I want this to be better. I want, whatever that is. I want peace. I want clarity. I want them gone. Whatever that is, that we get to say, okay, I'm going to say what I want, because I think so many times we're almost afraid to say what we want. Like, we judge, like, well, I can't ask for that. I can't, I should be grateful for what I have, or that'll hurt their feelings or whatever. And so we make our wants small, or we stuff them down, or we put them on the back burner. So how many people in here have put what they wanted and they needed on the back burner? Put a 5 in the chat if you have put what you wanted and what you needed on the back burner. Yes, yes. So, again, because we don't know how to be comfortable with making our needs a priority. We don't know how to be comfortable with um, just telling the truth. And one of the things that we can do as we're on this journey is learning how to tell our truth with no energy attached to it. Because so many times it's like, by the time we speak what we want, we are either frustrated, we're angry, we're sad. And so it just erupts out of us, as opposed to being able to say, I need to tell you this. And so I really need you to hear me. And so I want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to understand my heart. I want you to understand my position, that this is not acceptable for me. Instead of, you always do this and you make me feel like a blah, 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 blah. No, this is not acceptable for me. This doesn't feel comfortable for me. This is not healthy for me. So when we learn to put language around what we want and what we need, without getting caught up in the emotion of it, because the emotion is our work. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not telling you not to feel what you're feeling. What I'm saying is that when we begin to communicate and articulate what our needs are, if people cannot hear us because of everything else that's going around, then we are doing ourselves a disservice, because we're not articulating what our need is. And so being able to clearly, articulate it and set boundaries and all of those things. And look, I totally understand that when we begin to do this, people start freaking out. It's like, what do you mean you're not always going to be there? What do you mean you're not going to carry all the weight? What do like, and it's like, you know what, sweetie, love you, mean it. And yet that's not a healthy choice for me anymore. And so again, when you don't allow yourself to be overly emotional in the articulation of it, and it also empowers you not to be manipulated by the emotion of the other person. So I just want to pause with that, because like that felt, I don't know, that felt good to me. That being able to articulate things in a way with the clarity and the center and the calm and like this room with the peace in a way that we can not only say what we want, mean what we say, that we choose not to be manipulated by other people having an emotional response. And I know that that takes a lot of work, and it also depends upon the kind of person that you're dealing with. And, I know that there are a lot of people who have come through and that are on this platform and definitely have been in my room, who are, are or have dealt with, narcissistic personality disorder and dealing with all of that and the gaslighting and the EIEIO. And yet, even in that, as we know, like the gray rock kind of technique of saying, I'm not going to respond to the other part. That part I'm not doing. I'm focusing on this right now. This is the only thing I'm willing to have a conversation about. So all that other stuff, that's on you. And I'm not having a conversation about that. So again, centering in that peace and centering in that clarity and doing this process of moving forward, moving towards our dreams. So, because we are all talking about, we have dreams, we have aspirations, we have plans. And if we keep getting distracted by the noise and the nonsense of whatever we're healing from, coming through, whatever that is, it doesn't allow us to get focused and centered on where we're going. So, one of the things that I really want you to be clear on, and I say this all the time, our dreams are the roadmap to our destiny. That dream that you have, that longing that you have, that vision that you have, that thing that lights you up just thinking about it, and yet for whatever reason you didn't allow yourself to think about it, or you've been disappointed so many times that you don't trust that that's still for you. I want you to know that your dream is your roadmap to your destiny. Your dream is your gift. We have giftings in different areas, and so your dream is your gift. It was the gift that you were given. And sometimes it may even feel like a burden because the weight of it, or the enormity of it, is like especially people who have big dreams, and I mean all dreams matter. And yet there are some dreams that are like, I can't even say this out loud because people will think I'm crazy. And yet I know this is for me. Like that dream, and that being able to reconnect with it and to love on it and to be present with it. And I think that that's why it is so important to have one, two, or three trusted advisors that you can share that with, and be really clear, and feel safe about that, to have a safe space that you can say, this is what I want. This is what I feel called to. And again, like I shared, I work with women who are in transition, and a lot of them are usually, like transitioning from like C-suite. So they've been super successful in specific areas of their lives, and yet they're in a season that is not the end game for them, or that is not the goal, or like they're either complete with it or they're disillusioned with it. It's like, I worked this hard for all of this, or I've built everybody else's dream but mine, or I've done this for so long, and yet what I really want to be is something so different. And so how do I begin to move in that direction? And the first thing is just acknowledging it. And sometimes that's really challenging if you're, like maybe you're in a corporate kind of situation, and it's like, and you want to, I don't know, you want to open a flower shop or whatever, and people are like, are you crazy? And it's like, no, this is really what my gift is. And then when you begin to trust that, and people are like, well, how much are you going to make making flowers? And yet like with the internet, you can make $1 million doing anything. I know there's a woman on the internet right now who makes $4 million a year teaching knitting. So everything is possible and everything is on the table. And yet, if you let people talk you out of it, and yet you are so gifted in that area, but people can't hear it or celebrate it or encourage it because you have checked the boxes that they wanted to put you in, and yet you didn't check the box that is resonating in your soul. So that time of really being able to trust your dream again and love your dream again and know that there is a way that you can do it. There's a way, and sometimes it may just be, doing it parallel right now or whatever that looks like. And yet moving in that direction of your dream, trusting yourself enough to say, this keeps coming up for me and I have to live into it. I have to love into it. I have to trust it. And yet you don't have a circle that's going to celebrate you. That's why you get a coach. That's why you go to a therapist. That's why you have a mentor. You know, those dreams that you have matter, and anything and everything is possible. And I can tell you from personal experience, I grew up in a working class, blue collar neighborhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, I always dreamed of being on the stage in lights as a little girl. I used to watch MG musicals and, I'm a woman of color. So there was nobody who looked like me on any MGM musicals. And yet I just knew I needed to be in lights and have on gowns and people dancing and all of that. And that was like my dream and my passion. And of course, it's like my dad was like, but honey, you're smart. You could have a real job. And yet I turned 21 in Paris touring with a classical choir because I would not give up on my dream. And, as I shared with you earlier today, yes, I have an adult son with special needs, and he had his first seizure at 8 months old. And when I tell you, you've never seen something that small shake that hard. And so I made the choice and the decision to, while I turned 21 in Paris and had come back and gotten married. And when he was born with special needs, I made the choice to forego an international career. And yet I still kept pursuing my passion and pursuing my dreams in different ways. And I have come through so many different things. And now I sit here as a dream doula, having, like I said, having turned 21 in Paris and then walked away from a toxic and dysfunctional marriage after 30 years, going through 3 months of homelessness, and then going back to Paris for my 60th birthday, first class, to celebrate my birth and my rebirth after homelessness in less than 18 months. So it is about trusting that still small voice, trusting that part of you that says, I know that there's more. I know that I'm meant for more. I know that there's more for me. So put a 7 in the chat if you are looking towards more, becoming more, having more, doing more, having more impact. Put a 7 in the chat. Yes. 777. Yes. So I want you to know that more is possible. You're on the path. You're seeking the support. You're seeking the training. You're doing the work around the healing. You're headed in the right direction. And I just want to honor you and celebrate you again for that you keep moving in the direction of your dreams. You keep setting your intention, that I know that this is for me. you know I know without a doubt. And like when I first started on this new iteration of going into the coaching, and I wrote a book, and hadn't even set out to write a book. My daughter was going through some challenges, and I just wanted to write some notes for her to just encourage her, and it just flowed, and a book came out of it. And that was like one of the first things that kind of set me on this path that, oh wow, so me being on stage, like I did sing on stage and all of that, but like now I'm on stage as speaking and I'm coaching and I'm teaching. And so I had to be open to that. And so I went and got a coach. And my first coach, I'll never forget him. And I absolutely adore him to this day. And what he told me was success is inevitable. Like, Roz, success is inevitable. And we did the work and we mapped out the plan. And, that's how I've learned to be a great coach, because I had great coaches and I was a super good student. And so success is inevitable. When you set your intention and you move in the direction of your dreams and you start making those shifts, that mindset shift and that passion shift and that intention shift. And the biggest thing is shifting your energy, because again, if you're allowing your energy to be sucked off by other people who are not for your highest good, and I'm not talking about from a judgment, like they're just no good. They're not for your highest good. And so you have to make that choice, and you have to, pull back and create a smaller, safer space and circle for you to begin to grow, so that you can trust that your dreams are for you, that you can trust that I can set an intention, I can grow, I can come back, I can keep growing and evolving, and creating new iterations of life and who I am and how I show up in the world. So I really want you to know that that is so possible and so available to you. And again, when you show up in these kinds of spaces and you have these conversations, and um, you're feeding your soul, you're feeding your spirit, you're feeding, that part of you that may not be fully actualized, may not be fully celebrated, may not be fully seen. And so when you come into spaces like this, um, you're doing the work and you're letting that inner voice lead you and guide you to what you need next. So I also just want to take this moment to share that I do have a resource that you can tap into. It's a 21-day mindset reset, and it's a downloadable worksheet. It's got mantras and daily practices and journal prompts. And so I'll share a link and you can go and see if it serves you. And it's just another tool that you can put in your toolbox. It's a 21-day mindset reset. And you can just use this as kind of a jumping off point and to begin to create your own roadmap and what that looks like for you. And also, just if you want to have more access, you can find me on different platforms. I'm at Roz, that's ROZ, Roz Diva Nation, all one word. And, LinkedIn. I'm really heavy on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. I'm thinking whatever, EIEIO. I'm doing all the platforms. I'm not a Twitter girl, but everything else pretty much you can find me. So please definitely, follow my content. There's a ton of stuff that I have, videos and trainings and all of that. So if I can serve you, I would love to do that. If just being in here is enough, I'm happy to have you here. But if you want, a deeper dive or more access to me, even it's 1997, Kelly. Um, to move in that direction, I am here to serve and here to support. So Kelly asked, how much is the book? It's 1997. And it's a 21-day mindset reset, and it's a downloadable PDF. So yeah, go ahead if it suits you and serves you. That's a great kind of jumping off point and a tool. And what I love about that work is it's super cool to do it and then do some more work and then go back to it and do it again, because you get to even watch what your growth is or what your ideas are or what you've actually created over that time. And so that's the beautiful thing about continuing to go and grow. So if the biggest thing that I really want you to be clear about today is, one, your dreams are the roadmap to your destiny. Two, the fact that you are on this path of seeking and growing and looking for other ways to continue to evolve into that next great part of you, that next great iteration of you, that highest part of you. And just the biggest thing is like, allow yourself to dream again. Like, allow yourself to enjoy your dreams. I always talk about living a life filled with joy and vibrancy and purpose. And so while we have challenges and we have things that may be painful or whatever that is, also find the joy and create space for joy. And know again that all of that emanates from you. You will attract what you are. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So the more that you are intentional about being joyful, the more you will attract joy in your life. The more you are intentional about gratitude, the more you will attract abundance into your life. The more that you are intentional about living as the highest version of yourself, the more you will be surrounded by people who will come alongside you and walk with you and celebrate you and grow with you. It's an amazing thing. It happens all the time. And again, there are no accidents. Like, when you come in a space like this, it is because you are being led to that next thing that you need, that next way that you need to show up in the world. So at this place, if anybody has a question or something that you want to share, just hit that little thing and raise your hand. I would love to hear from you and love to, obviously answer any questions that you have. So any questions that anybody has or any share that you want to share? And you can also put it in the chat if you're not comfortable being off mic. That's okay as well. And it's so funny. Every time we get to this every week, it locks me out of one or the other. So hold on, I'm gonna dip out and dip back. All right, now I get to check the chat. Oh, thank you, Kelly. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, this really is who I am and how I show up in the world, and it's because I choose to. Because, child, as they say, child, I I could be like super angry and EIEIO, but I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, there's too much to be joyful about, and I just like it better. I just rather be joyful. So, it is just an intentional thing for me to just show up and show up to serve. And I think that's the other thing. Like, I am so honored that I get to do this. Like, I'm so honored that I get to share, and that you all would spend an hour with me and just share your experiences and your energy and all of that. Like, this is just a great opportunity and a great gift, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you so much for you being here. Yeah, I'm glad, so you are so healing. You give me hope. You know what? Yeah, because hope springs eternal. And when I tell you, thank you, Casey. I hope I said it right. And I'll answer your question in 1 second. So yes, that there is hope. There absolutely is hope. And I can tell you again, like I said, I don't care what you have experienced, there is a way through it. There is a way to a higher purpose, a higher calling. And so, whether it happened to you or you made the wrong choice, like all of us, we have made some crazy choices sometimes. And yet, we get to heal and come back from that. We get to be forgiven. And the forgiveness starts with us, that we get to forgive ourselves for the choices that we made. Because, like I said, I left a marriage after 30 years, and like my conversation could be like, girl, you couldn't have done that 15 years earlier or whatever. Yes, I am here every week. Yes. And yet I was just like, that was my journey. And for, a myriad of reasons, I stayed, and then I grew, and then I made a choice not to. And so it's my journey. And so rather than judge my journey, I just find the place of giving, giving thanks for it. And yeah, God, thank you. So, but yet also, like, I got to become who became. Okay, so my question is, can we heal while in a new relationship? We are both self-aware and codependent and attending coda class, therapy, meditation, etc. But sometimes I question my authenticity. Wow. Wow, what a beautiful question. And this is what I love, is like the last part that you're saying. Sometimes I question my authenticity. So just the fact that you're questioning it means that there's something there, and that's a good thing. And so I don't think there's one right answer. And I say that for a couple of reasons. And again, like I shared, I am the mom of an adult son with special needs. And what I've learned in the journey with my son, he is on the lower end of the spectrum, nonverbal, complicated by seizures. So, and like everybody, especially when he was younger, like, you need to do this, you need to do ABA, you need to do Lobos, you need to do blah, blah, blah. And what I found is I needed to do what was best for him. You know what I mean? And so some stuff worked for him and some stuff didn't. And I mean, when I tell you, we did everything, including swim with dolphins. Don't, like, we tried everything. And the biggest thing in that journey was like, because I was like, oh, God, fix him. Oh, God, fix him. Oh, God, fix him. And then God fixed me. And so when you're in a healing process, you know, I think that yes, it's good to have some space and time to heal for yourself. And yet, that's a decision that you have to make together because you're already in it. So, like, you are where you are. And so the question in the inquiry becomes, like, can we do this together? Or do I need to do this separately? Because, like you said, especially if there's a degree of codependency, is what you're experiencing real? And so that really is an inquiry that you will have to do together. I would encourage, getting some therapy separately and maybe together, so that you can have those conversations and do that exploration in a way that is healthy and affirming and kind. And this is the thing, whatever the answer is, like, the answer has to be right for you. So, you know, that's the biggest thing. And I can honestly say for myself, that's one of the reasons I stayed in my marriage for so long. Cause I was like, oh my God, everything's gonna fall apart and go to hell if I leave, and blah, 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 blah. And it was like, so I was always looking out for everybody else. And in the process was like, I didn't look out for me. And because I am a nurturer by nature, I it was easy for me to create that dynamic. And so that's the part of it that I own. I created the dynamic because I used to identify as a rescuer, And so, again, like I said earlier, we attract what we are. So if I identify as a rescuer, what am I going to attract? People who are in peril, people who are broken, people who need to be rescued or whatever, people who identify love with being rescued or with trauma or whatever. And so, as I did my work and my healing and my growth, and because I was such a big personality, if you haven't picked up on that yet, I thought I was handling everything. And so it took my time of saying, okay, this is not healthy and affirming in my body, because I always say if it doesn't come out of your mouth, it'll show up in your body. And so my body, created dis-ease and an autoimmune disease. And so that was kind of one of my first clues. And so again, even staying because I wanted to, keep my family together, didn't want to be unkind, whatever. I didn't didn't do enough work around taking care of myself. So as you're doing this exploration, as you're doing this healing process, um, give yourself permission to make the choices that are best for you, and not in a cavalier way, and yet in a way that is healthy. So if the two of you can do this healing process together and come through it as a unit, beautiful. And if you can't, that's okay too. And so just, I would really encourage you to make wise, healthy, and affirming choices, because you don't want to recreate what you've already created. You want to create something new. You want to do something different. So that would be my answer. So I hope that that helps. I hope that that is helpful. I really do. Any other questions? Anybody else have a question? Okay, let me ask you a question then. What was your biggest, leave it in the chat, or no, or if you want to unmic, you can. What was your biggest takeaway from today? What was your big aha moment? What was your well moment? What was your takeaway? Leave it in. If you don't want to raise your hand and speak, put it in the chat. What was the takeaway for today? I'd love to know. Anybody? Oh, here we go. Somebody's typing. Yay, yay, yay. And so, yes, I am here every week. And so please definitely come back. I would love to hear, stay connected. Like I said, if you want to, connect with me during the week, because I'm here every Wednesday. Like I said, it's Roz, ROZ, Roz Diva Nation, and Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, EIEIO. Yes, we attract what we are. I love that one. Yeah. Because so many times we're like, I want this, but why does everything else keep happening? It's like, because you're not aligned with what you're, is my one coach I worked with. She said, the tongue in your mouth and the tongue in your shoe are not going in the same direction. My, my biggest breakaway or breakthrough for today was that I received news about a better job. Yay, better job opportunity. Congratulations. After struggling with finding something I can thoroughly enjoy with my career. How awesome is that? Good on you. Good on you. Congratulations. I can continue my healing journey to complete my dream, and I don't have to attract bad things. No, you don't. And yes, you can. Yes, 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 you can. So I really, and in that, what I love about this, your healing journey and creating what you want, like, it is so wide open, and it does not mean that it's rainbows and unicorns, and yet it does mean that when you are clear about purpose, clear about intention, clear about direction, and you have the coaching and the training and the support that you need when things go left, because they will. We all have bumps in the roads, we all have challenges, we all get, you know we all get shook sometimes. It makes sense, that you'll know, like, okay, I don't have to fall apart about this. I don't have to judge it, because failure is just information. And so it won't be as frightening or overwhelming. So I love that for you. Yes, the tongue in your mouth and the tongue in my shoe are not going in the same direction. Yeah, I love that one too. And like I said, I can't take credit for it. My coach used to say that. So, she was like, make sure the tongue in your mouth and the tongue in your shoe are going in the same direction. So that's really, super great advice to have. So yeah, I love that. Love that. So I'm glad that resonated with you. That's so awesome. Yeah, yeah, yes. So yeah, so definitely stay connected with me, come back. I would love to continue to serve and celebrate and see what you're saying. Did I miss anybody? I'm going back through here and make sure I didn't miss anybody. It's so funny. I had to learn how to do this and keep up. Um, I was like, how do people do that? How do you talk and type and teach and all of that? So, yeah. And like I said, I'll put the link for the Mindset Reset in here one more time if anybody wants to pick it up. Like Kelly asked, It's 19, I believe it's 1997. So it's a really great entry workplace and just great work to do. Daily practices that really set you on the path to head in the right direction. And what I'm also going to put in here for you too is the link for the replays. Usually go up within 48 hours. So if you want to go back and check out the replay and take notes or whatever. Oh, thank you. Kelly says, say hello to your son and tell him thank you for sharing his mama with us. Thank you so much. And I hope the humming wasn't distracting for you. And it's so funny because, like I said, I was a classical singer for years. So, I mean, obviously in the womb, he heard singing. So he hums all the time. So he's nonverbal, but he has hums and like you can tell by his hums what he wants. He has an annoyed hum and he has a content hum and he has an anxious hum. So like he's got us trained. So it's really super sweet. So his sister is visiting with us right now too. So he keeps us on our toes for sure. So this is the link. Oh, or not. Okay. Okay, so here, that's the link to lift up. I'm off topic, but this may be a silly question. But how can I really heal and learn to grow to be anew? I know you mentioned keep learning and all, but sometimes it's not as straightforward. I'm working hard to change my framework of my mind, but it sometimes feels like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And you know what? That is absolutely right. So don't like be freaked out about it. And what I would say, because I love this analogy of the 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, embrace the dance because it's a dance. It's not linear and it's not absolute. So embrace the dance. So when you get the 2 steps forward, give yourself that yay. And when you get those 3 steps back, trust that you got 2 more forward coming just the same. And so don't judge yourself. So when you talk about changing the framework is giving yourself grace to grow, giving yourself permission to fail, because if you're not failing, you're not trying, and just moving in that direction. So give yourself grace and permission and just do the dance. Enjoy the dance because it's, that's part of it. So when we set an intention for joy, no matter what, like it's like, okay, this moment is 50 shades of crazy, but I'm still going to find the joy in it. I'm still going to trust that I still get to be who I choose to be in that process. So that is what I would encourage you to do. So, oh my gosh, I feel like Carol Burnett. I'm so glad we had this time together. So it's already time out. So come off the mic and at least tell everybody good night. Good night. Thank you. Oh, Nomi, go ahead, girl. What you got?
I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much. I actually wrote it in my notes. Hold on, baby. When you were talking about your son, because I also have an autistic son, when you said God fixed him, and then God fixed me, I started tearing up because I had this talk with my pastor, because he didn't talk for until he was 4, and people kept giving me all kinds of crazy advice. And my pastor came to me and she was like, "Why do you think God gives us our children?" And I kind of I was in a bad mood, so I wanted to blow her off and be like, I don't know, maybe to humble me. And then I really thought about it because he does a lot of the same things I do. So I was like, I don't know, maybe compassion, maybe to be more patient. And he really did change my life, brought out all the best parts of me. It's been a great journey. So thank you for saying that.
Oh, you are so welcome, my love. You are so welcome. Give him a hug from Miss Roz. So you don't know who she is, but she's sending you a big old hug. So thank you. So hey, good night, everybody. On mic and say good night.
Good night.
Good night. Be well, everyone. Thank you for showing up. See you next week. At least I hope to.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Be well.